Hello, this is DragonX coming at you with another tutorial for the very beginning Star Citizen players. This one's going to take you through how to find your way in the verse. So where am I? How do I get there? So if you've looked at my previous videos, we walked through some basic keybinds. We walked through how to go test those. Then we walked through like how do you go take off in a ship and request and landing and request takeoff and get in and out of hangars. Now let's figure out how to go find the hangars because there's a few different structures that you really need to pay attention to on the design of how they're laid out. So I'm not going to be able to go through all of them. What I'm going to do is the one space station, and then I'm going to go to the three primary takeoff points that are the more difficult to find your way out of. As you spawn into the verse, you're able to choose between New Babbage, Area 18, or Lorville, and I'll take you through each one of those. But we're going to start off right here. You can see, as usual, I'm laying in bed and not doing anything. I've got the screen tips on, so just keep in mind if those things aren't helpful for you, or they're bothering you guys out there in viewer land, let me know and I'll change that up. But I just want to be able to have screen tips there. If I forget to mention something that I'm doing on the keyboard, you'll be able to see that. And again, this is going to be focused on keyboard, mouse, because typically I expect that people coming over for the first time into a sim game like this might not be flying with dual sticks when they get in their ships yet, or flying with any HOTAS or HOSAS setup or whatever you want to call it. So we're going to focus this on keyboard, mouse. We will eventually get over to flight sticks and how those can help you and how they work, and try to give you some tips on what works the best and try to spend your money wisely. All right, so here we go. Without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and hop up out of bed. And I can remember back the very first time, I'm like, what the crap do I do? I don't understand. I didn't understand the game, how they did that kind of stuff, but able to interact with these panels and all these little things like this. So initially, I'm popping out of the space station and I've got to look around and see what's going on. And I go, oh, okay, I think I'm in Port Olisar. There's an indicator to say, okay, Port Olisar. So you saw a doorway there. All these other doorways are defunct. Those are all habs for people to sleep in. So anytime you spawn in the game, you're always in a hab of some sort, unless you sleep in a bed of your ship. But we'll worry about that later. We're really focused on you coming out of bed from one of these habitats, which is basically where everybody spawns in. So I can go, oh, look, there's another door that I can actually walk through. And what I'll do is go through here, and I'm going to wander around. In Port Olisar specific, I want to go downstairs. So this is a really common port. It used to be the only spawn point. And I just go down these stairs, go into this area, and look at that. There's the ship terminal that we were so excited to see in a couple of videos ago. There's always some things around the spaceport. Port Olisar is a little dated. As I said, it was one of the very, very first spaceports, and it was the primary spawn point for the game. So if you're just starting the very first time, you won't spawn here, but you will travel to this place because it is still one of the most popular places in the game for buying certain things. And it's a nice, not necessarily central, but really easy location. It's really valuable for mining. So what I encourage you guys to do is always try to understand the structure of this, so you can see stores that you can go buy things eventually when you earn some money. You've got windows. These are important to start to understand, like how to find your way around bases, space stations, and all this stuff. Don't forget the outside, because just like the sun in the sky, you know which direction it is. If you start to get some relevance to the outside, these interiors can be somewhat complicated. So don't forget to peek outside every once in a while and kind of see what's going on, because I can see, oh, there's a ship pad right out there, a landing pad. And I can see the structure of the space station, or at least this part of it. And I've got the big planet of Crusader here in this particular view. But that's just a reminder to go do that. So what we're going to do is go grab our ship and go to we're going to leave Port Olisar, and we're going to go to one of the primary spawn bases. We're going to take a trip to all three of those. So it's going to be a little bit of time. I'll try to cut some of the travel time down with a speeded up play, and we'll do all that fun stuff and jump over right to the place. So I'm going to grab an Asperia Prowler. It's one of the prettiest ships in the game, I think, or most unique looking. Everybody's really excited about this launching into the game not long ago. And what we're going to do is hop over, and I use it because it travels far and fast. So that's two components. When you're using smaller ships, they will travel fast, but they don't have enough fuel capacity to go very far. So this is what's called a mid-grade ship. mid to large ship, and it has size 2 components, which are size 2, 1, 2, 3, and 4 right now. And I'm able to go pretty far distance. So we'll just take 1 second to check out the beauty of this ship real quick before we go fly it. Because I think when you actually get into Star Citizen, it's all about what kind of ships are out there. You can earn a bunch of these in game to play with, but we'll do ship reviews and all that stuff as we kind of develop this channel and give you more information. But we're just taking a minute to appreciate the beauty of the game, and that ship design is just crazy. It's designed off a Tavarian culture, which in the lore, that's another race that we'll eventually interact with in Star Citizen. So this is considered a drop ship. You can see it's got all these doors that you can jump out really, really quick and get out of the Prowler very quick. All these hanging jump seats or whatnot. But anyway, we're not going to dally too much on ships today, but it's such a beautiful one. I like to take a pause and take a look at these things as we're going through. So it's not all business. We can still have a little bit of fun on these videos. So now taking off again, just as a reminder, on mouse and keyboard, what I like to do is go get in your seat, wait till your reticle comes up. That's that thing in the center of your screen. When I say reticle, if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's that crosshair and circle in the middle of the screen. When that is registered and I can see that on my screen, then I am fully in my ship captain's chair or co-captain's chair or whatever chair. It shows that I'm fully engaged and it's ready to start accepting keybinds. So I hit R and it readies up my ship. And you can start to see as it's warming up, it just powered on with the engines and all this stuff. And you've got shield indicators in a couple places. So right down here, you can see it's charging my shield up a little bit slower, and it'll eventually get up to full power. And then you'll start seeing the ship right here. It's now started to appear. The shields have started to appear to show the health of those. If you're in a hostile environment, you might want to wait for those to charge all the way up before you take off. But for now, we're just zipping around the verse. So we're going to go ahead and strafe up and get out of here. And then I'm going to, because this ship has VTOL and landing gear, I'm going to press N to retract my landing gear. And then I'm going to press J that will put my VTOL in flight mode. VTOLs are becoming more and more important in the game. So again, as we discussed, we're going to go over to one of the major spaceports. I'm going to hit F2 and pull up the map. I personally like to just double right click, and it's going to zoom all the way out to the entire solar system within Star Citizen. I can hit this and it'll show me where I'm at. Looks like somebody's taking a look at my ship right now. As I said, people like to look at ships. So I'm at Port Olisar around Crusader. That's where my origin point is. And the 3 main ports, and they take a little bit to get there, are ArcCorp, Hurston, and Microtech. So what we're going to do is fly over here. I'll try to speed these videos up in the middle of that so you're not having to watch all the flight mode. We'll talk just a little bit. I'll cut out most of it, but not all of it. And then we'll go land at ArcCorp. We will kill ourselves and respawn inside of ArcCorp, so you'll have the same feeling if you're just initially spawning into that. We'll hit from ArcCorp, we'll go to Hurston and Lorville. ArcCorp is the home of Area 18. Hurston, the planet, is the home of Lorville, the main space station, and then Microtech is the home of New Babbage. What we'll do is go to those 3, and then we'll fly from New Babbage when we take off and go to the spaceport just above it, which is called Port Tressler. I'll get in and show you guys. We'll fly over there, and we're going to fly over to Port Tressler and spawn again inside of Port Tressler to show you guys what it looks like to Port Tressler's right here. We'll spawn inside of this and show you how to navigate these, because these are all over. There's rest stops. There are these atmospherical stations that are above all the major cities that ideally you're going to fly. Eventually you'll fly your big ships into there. You'll dock those, and you might get a drop ship out to drop from there down to the city. So they've just recently integrated those suborbital stations, and they are similar in design to these rest and relax stations that are all over the place that are key for refueling, buying equipment, and all this stuff. They all have stores and things like that. But when you see like Crew L5, Her L4, Mike L1, Arc L4, all these little asteroid clusters, the smaller ones, when you double click on those and zoom in, it gives you a readout up here on the top right that says this is A Lagrangian gravity well located in the orbit of Hurston, besides being home to a collection of asteroids, a convenient R&R, rest and relax, rest stop is available for refueling and repairs, repair your ship, and it's also usually has stores in every one of those. Now you'll see some like Arkel 4. Don't get tricked. Read the key or the notes up here, and it'll tell you, oh, this one doesn't have an R&R, so don't waste your time going there to refuel and relax. So we'll go through one of those space stations. It's going to be we'll try to cut all that stuff out, and we'll do some quick hops from here to here to here to here, and then we'll go to the 2 places on Microtech to kind of give you an idea of how you navigate out of your bed and get into your ship. So let's go ahead and set our route again. Remember, double click on the planet, and then I can scroll wheel in on mouse and keyboard, obviously. And I want to find Area 18, and I see it right here. So sometimes you have to negotiate the map around. Again, remember, left click and drag allows you to rotate the entire map, whereas right click and drag allows you to move the planet around or move the actual location of the planet around. Okay, so now I see Area 18. Cool. I want to double click on that, and it's showing it's really zoomed in. I'm gonna hit set route, and there we go. I've got my quantum route locked in, and now I've got a little, let me hold down F so I can move my reticle or my indicator around. You can see there's a radar map here that shows there's 1, 2, 3 ships on my radar, but it's also showing me my path. And if you remember to find your path, it's also got this little triangle here that tells me which way I need to point to be able to get to a station or get to my destination, excuse me. So we're going to go ahead and tap B, spool up our quantum drive, hang out right here for a second. And we're about to punch it by holding down B. I know I'm drifting. My hands are off the mouse right now. Let me drift back in. All right, spooling complete, calibration ready. Now I just simply hold down B and poof, we're off. So different ships handle quantum differently. You can also change out, upgrade drives and things like that to go quicker. And there's a lot of stats entangled into every component in Star Citizen. So quantum drives may accelerate faster. They may travel top end speed faster than other ones, and some might be counter or vice versa. Some may use the faster ones tend to use more fuel, but there are a fuel efficiency breaks where you go to this particular drive may give you a really far range, so it's fuel efficient and it's kind of fast, but it'll never be as fast as like the really fast ones that really suck up the fuel. So you want to pay attention to all that kind of stuff, especially if you're just starting the game and you're in a small ship or a starter ship that's a light fighter or a light multi-use ship like the Mustang Alpha is one that's a starter pack. And you've got also the Aurora that is a starter pack, RSI Aurora. Those are both small class ships. And if you leave the stock drives and you don't pay attention to the fuel efficiency, you won't be able to make the travel that I'm making right now in Quantum. Let's back out and get a little prettier view because this is an alien Tavarian ship. All the different ships of different races have different animations for the Quantum. So you're probably not just starting off going to see this animation unless you happen to pick up a Tavarian ship, which there's only this one's right now. It's pretty expensive. So if you don't, you're going to see it look a little bit different. It'll have some cool animations. This is just one of my favorite animations. So that's why I'm kind of traveling around. It's got cool graphics and all that stuff for you guys to look at. So other than that, just keep in mind, those things become important. I know it's outside of talking about getting in and out of your bed and whatnot, but they're good tips to just keep remembering. And I'm going to attempt to do a decent job as I'm doing these videos that you guys are going to be able to see and hear the same things over and over again if you watch the series of videos. So it starts to get muscle memory saying, oh yeah, he said that 4 times about the drives being efficient and that we really need to focus on that. Or he said 25 times I've heard him say, you got to double right click to zoom out on your map and it'll help you keep a little more coordinated. So that's kind of my goal here. And again, as you can tell, I am literally doing this from a very, very basic standpoint. And I get in trouble all the time from my buddies that say, you got to do these with crayons. Don't do these complicated because people aren't going to understand when you got to remember, you're going to know a lot of things that they don't know and forget things that you've already learned that you're forgetting to tell people. So if there's something that you're clicking, there's nothing that drives me crazier than watching a YouTube video and I'm watching it really intensely, and it's a complicated process, and there's 15 things that I got to do, and the broadcaster will verbally speak out 12 of those things, or even 14 of the 15 things, and miss that one thing, and I sit there for hours sometimes trying to figure out what the crap did I miss, and I got to open up other videos and all that stuff. If you're finding anything incomplete, let me know. I will go back and edit these videos because they are out there for you guys. Again, I know how to get around on here. It doesn't, I'm not doing this for myself. So if you're having problems, let me know. Okay, so now I've come out of Quantum Drive, and if you remember, you got to let it cool down. I'll spin up in the background so you can see my HUD just a little bit better. And you see right here, the cooldown timer is counting down, and I'm not able to engage in quantum until then. And again, traveling around the verse is all about quantum. If I try to manually fly somewhere, even as close as I am, I just jumped, just giving you a point of relevance on my map. I jumped all the way from one side of here. That green line basically represents the quantum jump I just made. If I'm to manually fly just the rest of the way in from where I'm at, which you can see it kind of highlighted in the background, it's that baseball home base looking structure right there. But if I'm just to travel this far, so look, you can't even see that when I'm zoomed out. And if I'm just to travel that far on not quantum travel, it will take me hours to travel just from here to where that little home base looking thing is. So it's all about quantum travel anywhere you can. 642 kilometers. I can only travel about, I can't remember exactly, but around 1,000 meters per second in this ship. So a kilometer is about as fast as I can travel per second. So that's going to take me 642 seconds to travel that far if I've got it hammered down as fast as it'll go. And it'll start slowing down as I get into atmosphere. Okay, without further ado, we're going to jump right in to quantum. And we're going to zip down to this area 18. Now, I'm going to go through the same process I put on the video. Again, muscle memory, so you're seeing these things multiple times. I've got a how do you land at area 18 video posted up there. And it can sometimes get complicated, but this is good practice anytime you're landing. If you haven't watched the whole series of starter videos, that's fine. I'm going to try to cover these again. So I came out of quantum to my final destination, right? You can see the planet forming below me. It's starting to render all this stuff. But now I've got to go find a landing pad, and I'm like 30 kilometers out, and I can either find it manually. Oh, there's another ship. Hello. Let's radar lock him and see what we've got. It's a Caterpillar's probably doing some trading. Now, I happen to be in a very lucky spot that I see the base right here, but you can see it's cloudy. Sometimes it's dark and it's hard to see this. So I'm going to give you the normal method that I use to find anything in Star Citizen. So what I do, I'm already at my jump, and you can see I don't have that. Even if I go up in the darker background, I'm missing that little triangle because when you come out of the last quantum jump, you take off that waypoint. Okay. And it gets a little confusing because now, I mean, it's literally like it's simmed out. So you're literally like in a vehicle, and you can imagine it in a car that you get stuck in the field 30 kilometers from your destination with no map. You have no idea of which direction to go because you just got dropped there. It can be very confusing to physically see everything. Now, I came in, like I said, at a very lucky spot, and I know that that's the landing pad. But if I came in across, if the planet was rotated around, or I'm coming from a different location, it can be very confusing because I can't see it, right? I can't see that far. So what I do every time, because I came out of quantum, I'm going to go right back to my F2 map, and I'm just going to hit set route again. Okay. It didn't remember where I was, so I'm just going to go right back like I did before. We're going to zoom in. We're going to find that area 18, and we're going to lock in. As soon as I get the green dotted line, that means, or yellow green dotted line, that means I've got the lock, and I hit set route. Now what this does, as you remember, there's that home base thing popped up, and that's the key to what we're trying to do. The home base is giving me the center of the city or destination that I'm ultimately going into. Sometimes it's hard to see, but you can move your ship around and get the colorations. You can roll your ship, whatever it does to be able to see those places or see that little indicator. But what I do now that I know I'm going to the center of that destination, which only Lorville and Area 18 and New Babbage are so large that it's hard to find the space stations. Grim Hex can sometimes be challenging for some people, but it's not too bad. So what I'm going to do is spool my quantum drive up again just by tapping B, and you see that home base turned into the home base turns into a more of a diamond shape or a sideways square, whichever we want to call it. And then I'm going to unspool my quantum. And why do I do that is because there's my diamond, but it's also giving me a range. So I don't overfly or I don't fly too fast or miss the center. That way it gives me a range finder. So it's more like a navigation system now or just a local navigation system. And I'm just going to throttle in with E and wheel up, gives me a higher speed limiter. And I'm just going to head straight to the center of the city. You can see, again, I've got 20 now, like 19 kilometers to go. And I'm going to roll up and you can see right up here, velocity is meters per second. I'm only doing about 230 at max, but I'm going to ignore that space station and pretend I didn't see it. And I'll show you guys why in just a second. But we've got 16 kilometers and this is my course of action. And just about every time I am trying to find any location, I don't care how obvious it is to me visually, I just get in this habit to do this and I never have problems finding anything. People don't get in this habit and they're like, oh yeah, I think I remember that. I think I remember that. And then 3 weeks go by and you come back and play it again like, oh man, how did I do that? Well, this is kind of a foolproof method. Foolproof English will come to me. This is a foolproof method to find anything at all times because it gives you a waypoint, right? Okay, so we're coming in. We're only about 7,000 meters out now. And it doesn't really necessarily mean I need to be low, right, to go fly exactly to that point. But what I want to do is get vertically directly over it because that's going to give me the center of any city structure, give me the center of any waypoint destination that you find in the star map that you're trying to travel to. We'll eventually get into showing you how to actually locate things that aren't mapped. There is a manual mapping method I'll walk through in some of the more advanced tutorials in a short period of time. So here we go. There's my star. I'm getting right over it, or my diamond. And then what do you know? I look up and there's this huge building that says AC on it. What does that mean? That's your ArcCorp primary central office building. So that is what the center of ArcCorp is keyed into, is the front lobby of that. I can't fly down there right now, but eventually we hope to be able to fly down in those things. There's some, you'll see some landing pads on top of buildings around here. You can actually go land on a lot of these, but they won't help at this point. You can't go down into the buildings or enter the city from that location. So we're going to go to this ArcCorp and fly up just a little bit and figure out where the heck we are. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead because I know I'm at the waypoint and it won't manually go away. Because just like any navigation system, it's going to say you have arrived. Do you want to end the trip? Well, I'm going to manually end that trip by going back into F2. And I'm just going to hit clear route because I don't want that waypoint anymore to confuse me. So here I am, dead center of the city. Now, you can imagine looking out this way. If you're trying to go over there, it's really hard to determine what you're looking for, right? So what I'm going to do is start spinning around in a circle and locating where I need to land my ship. Now, even if you're dark, you can see this huge pad out here. It seems obvious right here, okay? It seems like, oh, after you see it on this video, you'll be able to recognize it anytime, and it seems obvious, and you'll go, oh, that was easy. You flew right over it. You wasted time and all that stuff. But remember, you're going to come in from a lot of directions. So we're going to manually go out to a more confusing place that will happen quite a bit and show you what the view looks like. And this is really a high visibility background that I've got going on. I've got some light smog or fog, whatever it is, and I'm in the daylight. So it's really a lot easier to see right now, but this method will help you find it in the dark as well, because you're going to be looking for red blinking lights and looking for that flat area in the dark areas where it's really, really hard to see. All right, we're going to spin around again. So let's imagine, and remember, we're going to cue this up, just give you a point of relevance, right? When you go to, say we came in from this angle, and I am literally going to remap and show you guys kind of perspective-wise where I'm at. I'm going to reset my route to Area 18. I'm going to do that trick with tap and B and cancel it. I'm only 5,000 meters out, right? So I've if I were coming in from this direction, I would have already flown more than 15 kilometers. So I'm going to try to represent getting a little bit farther out because this is important. I'm wasting time on this because you guys will be saving hours and hours of frustration. And frankly, there's a lot of new people who just don't come to some of these big bases at all because it's so confusing. I want you guys to be comfortable to go anywhere and have fun with it. All right, so now I am only 8,000 meters out, and you can see it starts getting to be a more complex atmosphere. And I can see, yes, because the sun is literally shining on the base back here, I can identify it, but this is the best conditions that are possible. What I'm going to do is simulate a nighttime approach. Let's get out to about 10,000 meters. And what we'll do is spin it around, get about there, and I'm going to simulate a nighttime environment, show you how complex it is to find these things if you don't use some type of consistent method to find it. Okay, so let's spin around. Let's see how far we're at. We're at 11.3 kilometers. Okay. So now what's happened? That background or that space station out here is harder to see right now. Even if I zoom in, man, I can't really determine as clearly as I could before, and pretend that I've already flown halfway to where you're going to drop out of quantum if you approach from this direction. And you may approach from a 360. You don't know where you're coming in anytime. So I start looking around. Oh, I can kind of see a little bit of the space station back there if I'm really diligent and I'm zoomed in. But if I'm just sitting here looking around, it is confusing to find because you're just like looking around between buildings. You're trying to find that. And it's a good, minute and a half flight to come down here. So what I'm going to do is to simulate some of the darkness. And this is some help for some people until they fix shaders and whatnot in some places. So I've got my gamma up really, really high. I'm going to drop that down to like 8. Okay, let's see what that looks like. Starts to get pretty dark, and you get a lot different level of illumination with your gamma. You can see how sharply that contrasts, and it even washes this out a little bit further. And if I don't know to zoom in, it is really hard. That's holding down F and rolling my mouse wheel up, and I can zoom in and see, man, I can barely see that. But remember, it's difficult. So we're going to go back to the approach spot. We're going to speed into back over the center of ArcCorp, which now that you've seen it, you can kind of identify that's the tallest building in town right there. And we're going to head right for that bad boy, even if you don't have the marker, which I cannot stress enough. I recommend that. All right, let me afterburner on in and get to the center. And just to remind you one more time, I go here and then unbind that location because you don't need to go there anymore. We need to tell Siri or Google Maps, hey, we're here, we've arrived. You can stop giving me directions at this point, basically. All right, so we are at 5,000, and you can see this is my point about quantum again. I'm only able to travel 185 meters per second in this ship when I'm in atmosphere. So the atmospheric conditions make a difference on how fast you can fly, and those are going to increase here shortly. Currently, I'm reviewing this from patch 3.91, and we're on the verge of 3.10 releasing. And at that point, there's going to be more atmospheric effects that are going to challenge your flight modeling. All right, so here we are. We're back dead above that waypoint that we had. Remember, we're going to tell Google Maps, hey, we're good, clear our route. We don't need that direction anymore. So now that we've known and identified, and we've spun around and figured out that there's we know where that pad is. But in the dark, pay attention. Even the flat zones can be a little hard to disseminate when you're first starting and you're not really paying attention to how much detail you need to understand in Star Citizen. There's a red blinking light at Area 18. That's the center of the spaceport. And you can see other ships lining in. Sometimes there's not ships there, so you don't see those green indicators. They helped me out for a while until I figured out how to actually fly around to help me find out where the ships are going. I looked at those. It's like an old Douglas Adams thing that he says, and I quote, it was in the Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency series or whatnot. And he said, well, anytime you get lost, just get behind. No, I'm sorry. It was a Hitchhiker's Guide thing. I think it was Ford Prefect quote from Douglas Adams' book. It says, anytime you get lost, just get behind somebody that looks like they know where they're going and follow them. But now I can't remember if it's if it was Hitchhiker's Guide or the Holistic Detective Agency series. I'll have to look that up one day. I'll let you know. All right, so we're going to keep flying in again to that red blinking beacon. I don't have audio turned on. There are some audio cues that tell you you're getting close and whatnot, but I want to forget that for now and show you how to fly in the worst conditions possible and still locate where you're going. That's my goal all the time. All right, so here we're at Area 18. We're getting close to that beacon. And what I want to do now, again, if other videos, there's two ways to call a hangar up. I can hit menu on one of these MFDs and go to comms. And you can see right here, Area 18 landing services. I can click that and call up comms, and we'll do that this time. The other way is hit F11, and it takes you directly to that a similar comms menu, but we'll look at that when we get to the next landing spot. So now that I've called up my landing pad, oh, there is my, let me fix my gamma back to normal ratios. I like to move my gamma around sometimes until I think there's some lighting issues they continue to polish and whatnot. It helps me just be in control of what I'm doing as they work through the alpha phases. So now I've got that hangar and I see that wrench. That's the that indicates where I'm going. And you can see the hangar bay is opening up. If I get too low, I'm going to run into a no-fly zone. So what I like to do, again, especially as you're starting off, is I like to get above the hangar, dead above, and this will save you a lot of wrecks. I want to get my altitude or my attitude, meaning my angle, set where that crosshair is lining up with 90 degrees or damn close to it. And then I'm going to hit right shift and lock my orientation. And that way I can't, even when I'm trying to steer, I can't turn it left or right. I can still roll and I can still strafe, but I can't turn, or I can't get off of that angle. So my ship is perfectly perpendicular to the pad or to the landing area. Here is, I'm going to zoom out and see if you guys can understand. So you can kind of see the planet. I'm dead straight up and down. Okay. Now, the next thing when I go back here for the perfect landings every time is now we know that we're dead straight up and down. I want to fly that crosshair right down into the center of that wrench. When I get down there, I'm only using, you can see the keys pop up there, but I'm only using my strafe and forward motion, backward motion keys to get my attitude where as I get closer and closer, I want to keep centering that up a little bit better. Sometimes this is super critical that you're this picky. Sometimes it's not, depending on the size of ship you're flying and what hangar you get assigned. There are some ships that literally just barely fit in the hangar. So I'm telling you how to do this that will be successful with any ship. Okay, so now I'm pretty close. I'm getting collision alert warnings. I can see I'm down in here. There is an auto land feature, which is holding down the letter N will auto land, but I don't like it because that I'm relying on a computer to land for me. Sometimes the mechanics mess up. So I personally, and for immersion purposes, I want to learn how to land manually anyway. So here I am locked into orientation. I'm pretty darn close to the center of that pad, right and left, up and down. And then what I want to do is hit my right shift to unlock it. Well, excuse me. First, we're going to tap in to lower our landing gear. If you remember right here, you saw the indicator may have gone, or if you rewind a second, you can see the indicator was clear when I tapped in. Well, I'll do it again for you. I'm going to tap in and the gear button goes away. That means my gear is up and it's not deployed or engaged. So I'm going to tap in again. So my landing gear is ready. And from the outside, you can see we're back in landing mode. Now, I'm going to correct my rotation just a touch. Then I'm going to go back here, hit my right shift now that I've got my landing gear down, and I'm going to follow any tracers on the floor. You know, this little thing looks like it's in the center. This looks like it's in the center. And I'm going to rotate my ship up to follow that center line until my attitude or my angle says 0, right? Now I'm right on 0. And that's telling me I'm perfectly flat to the floor. And now I just hit left control and I can go straight down and bam. We're going to hit I to power off our ship and we're going to go to third person. And you can see how precisely that lands. And I'll challenge just about anybody to land any more perfectly than you can with this method, because I'm using math and I'm using vectored sections that if you land by talent and skill and all that stuff, you'll have some damn good landings, but you can't beat the math. Okay, so there you go. Perfectly centered on the pad, front to back, perfectly centered. side to side, and that works with any size ship. All right, so now that I've shut my power off, remember you do that every time you get out of the ship with the letter I on a keyboard. You don't necessarily have to hit U, which powers the HUDs and all that stuff off. I don't tend to do that because that shuts off your shields and everything. So if you land in a hostile territory where somebody may be shooting you, at least your shields will be up while you're away from your ship. All right, next, on this one, I'm gonna open a drop door and just jump down, and we're gonna close that back up. And now I'm securely in the hangar bay and all that kind of stuff. So very pretty ship, pretty landing, all that stuff. I'm not talented. I'm using the math. Okay. It looks nice. And if you're not using that method, it's really hard to make a parking job look that nice. Now, since I've landed, I've requested landing and I've actually landed, my home base is now recognized as Area 18. So I'm going to speed this along a little bit to get you guys. I've got some crazy top hat sticking out of my armor. I'm going to speed it along, and what I'm going to do is suicide, and what it's going to do is recognize that I live on Area 18 now because I requested landing and landed. I think right now in this patch, you don't even have to land. You just have to request landing. But I landed, so I would have my ship stored back here for me to get here. So if you're just starting the game and you're in the Area 18 spawn point, this is what it's going to look like. Here's your habitat that you wake up into right now. So we're going to go... Again, just get up and walk over there. You can look around. It's got all kinds of cool stuff. There's all kinds of little mini silly games that people play by remembering exactly where your hab is, because you can access that until you fly home base yourself somewhere else, but you can re-access this. So I'm going to go leave this hab. You can see they're loaded up all over the place. Hab 9. So I came out of Hab 8. Some people like to remember that so they can come back later and go into their hab. It looks like they may have that disabled. There are patches where I can go back in here as long as I have lived here. Looks like it's disabled right now, 3.91, but check it out in future patches. All right, so Area 18. Let's go. I just ran there automatically, so you guys get one quick path. But everything in Area 18, okay, you come out of a hab, you always go to the end of the hallway, and sometimes it may be confusing. You might come out of this door and come out and go, well, which end do I go to? Well, you want to go to the end that has a staircase. It doesn't matter if you got to run and back and forth, but you go find the staircase. And so I've got, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 habs here. There's 6 habs that I could spawn into. And then I come down to this wing, and here's my staircase. I'm going to run down to the center of that area because you can see another staircase at the other end. Again, here's the outside. You can go look and get some beautiful views. That's what this game is all about, after all. Just look at that gorgeousness. See all the cityscape and whatnot. So now I'm in the middle, and I turn, and here's an elevator. Sometimes it's hard to indicate. They are changing the interface panels to something more consistent that's a little more noticeable, I think. And we'll see that in Microtech as we go out there. But you can see, if I go over here, exact same replicated thing with our 6 habs. And I'm able to, if I spawn over here, remember, just go to the end with the staircase and go down the staircase, go halfway. Left is outside view, right is the elevator. So I'm just click that elevator, and I'm gonna go down. And this is one of the most complicated places in the game to get to your ship. I'm going to try to give just a straight run through with some commentary as what I'm passing. So when you replay this, you'll be able to follow step by footstep how to get there. So it doesn't matter what floor you're on. Always go to ground floor when you're going to your ship. Other floors are just more habs, by the way. All right. So here we go. I'm at the bottom. Now you can ignore that pip. My pip is, that prowler is still sitting in the hangar. So I'm seeing the pip. It'll store eventually. And I come down and look, there's this big bank of elevators. Now, just like the other one, go down and find, there's a little dude that shows you, our little welcoming dude for the hab area. So what is it, NPC, but you're just going to go down the stairs. Okay. Essentially. Now I'm going to make a straight run to my ship and explain, try not to confuse you guys at this point. So you come down the elevators, and we're just going to go straight down this tarmac or this black walkway. And we're going to head this way to ArcCorp Plaza. If you look to the left and right as I pass by, again, I want this step by footstep, so you're not running around in circles. But there were some stores and some stairs and a lot of interactive stuff over there. Again, same thing. This is the main center plaza for ArcCorp, and there's a lot of things over here. So take time to explain it or explore it. I'm not going to spoil all that on stream. That's for you to go explore, but I'm heading straight for this City Flight Transit, which you saw me briefly go by, but literally footstep by footstep, you'll find the fastest way to get anywhere. You can see to Area 18 Spaceport, and I am well on my way to getting out of this confusing mess, because that is one of the most confusing cities in Star Citizen. It can be complicated. So I come here, and on Area 18, I'm going to wait for this space tram. Sometimes I might have to wait, and they are timed, so I can literally miss my train and get real life anxiety from missing a virtual train. That is totally possible in this game. So that is the first step of traveling. There's all kinds of views. It's really cool. Well, this is actually a tram, more of a space type tram, or a frictionless or flying tram, whatever you want to call that. We don't have these on Earth, so I'm not sure that they're actually defined what they are, but we'll call it a tram for now. And we are flying through ArcCorp, and it is taking us to our destination with the public transit system, which all of us have to use to get to our spaceship at this time. Okay, so we can't really travel in the city at this time. Future patches, we should be able to, where this will be less complicated. Or probably more complicated, I should say, if you can manually fly over to a building that you want to go to. That might be more complicated when there's 8,000 places to go see. All right, so you can see our Prowler. That's cool that it's on the screen, because you're kind of seeing that you're traveling closer to it, kind of get some indicators. But again, this is the way that Star Citizen designs their game is, hey, this is, we're going to take it as close to real life as we can, and then back it off till it's fun. So these train rides and tram rides and everything are really real life long and lengths of time, but you know, they speed them up to make it where you're not just going crazy. Okay, so let's keep running. We're going to run straight over to the ship terminals, and I'll show you how to go get your ship. We're going to call up a different ship, so it'll give me a terminal assignment, and that way you'll see the full deal. I'm not just going to run to my ship that's already in the hangar. I'm just going to run straight and call up another ship terminal. So here, ship terminal, there's another set of ship terminals on the other side, so it might be confusing. It looks the same from each direction. Just know that that's happening. But let's go call up something else that looks cool. It's one of my favorite ships in the game. It's Aegis Retaliate Er, which is the big bomber in the game. It's the scary guy that everybody's afraid to see fly, because it'll destroy just about every ship in the game very simply. And it uses these huge size 9 torps. We'll at least walk up into the ship so we can appreciate a little bit of beauty. And then we'll wrap up this part 1 video of the how to get out of places. And what we'll do in video number 2 is go to Hurston and go into Lorville. Well, it says it's unable to deal with that, but it is not unable to deal with that. It is just confused. So we're going to look around. Do we see a pip still? Yes, it shows that my Retaliator came out. This is just a bug workaround to understand what happens if you get that area. Make sure you look around, because you can always identify where your ship is by seeing its pip, as long as it's associated to you. So I'm going to try it again. And it says, here we go, my Retaliator, Aegis Retaliator, sitting on Area 18 in Hangar 5. Okay, cool. So I'm going to pull out of that, and now I'm going to run directly to my ship. And I'm sprinting with shift. Be careful with doing that, people. It drives some people crazy, because you can't injure people by running into them at full shift. So here I am calling up my elevator. There's another bank of elevators. You just got to go down the same direction I did. If you go past this one, there's another bank just like this, but I'm just calling up the closest elevator. And, you know, out of my OCD, I just keep clicking it until it shows up. And we're going to do Hangar 5. You can go to all the hangars, and they're more like Wonkavators than they are elevators. So they go sideways, up, down, back, right, all kinds of stuff. But they take you to the hangar is ultimately what you want to do. So as you hold down F, you can pick which hangar you go to. Sometimes you click the wrong one. Sometimes you forget which one you go to. You can always run back and try to see what hangar it's in. So here we go. There is the beautiful Aegis Retaliator. It's one of my favorite looking ships, because it is so reminiscent of the SR-71 Blackbird real life airplane. And I'll show you as I get up why it looks like that. From here, it may not look that way as much. So the other method to call the hangar doors open that I mentioned earlier, I can get in the ship, look at that MFD, click the menu button, and click the com sign that looks like a little Wi-Fi signal with upside down, you know, bars. looks just like a normal Wi-Fi signal you'd see on your phone or computer or anything. The other way is to hit F11, and it takes me straight to the comms menu. Okay, you can see people chatting in global, but then I can hit friends, and one of my friends right now is Area 18 Landing Service. I can hit this icon, click it, and you will see opening comms channel. It is hailing Area 18 Landing Service. It's established, and now I can just hit F11 and close that back out. Look up in the sky, and guess what's happening? My hangar is coming open. It is ready. So I tend to do that just after I call my ship up, just because it'll be ready and waiting for me. And it just saves time. It's one of those OCD things that I want to be efficient as I can. So I'm gonna go up in the elevator. We'll look at the ship real quick and just show off the outside of the ship and one of these size 9 torps to understand what's so cool about it. But I'm gonna run down here, and here is one of the size 9 torps. Look at this thing. You know, perspective wise, it's like 7 of me long and as thick as, let me get my crazy looking top hat sticking out of my armor. You can kind of see next to my body how big that thing is. This ship's so cool because it is so battle driven. We'll look at a couple things real quick, but you've got another torpedo bank back here. It carries 6 of these huge torpedoes. One of those will kill almost every ship in the game, except for like a hammerhead, a 890 jump it will not kill. And then, and this is what's in the game today. And the Carrack is the only other thing that won't kill with a single torp. It will kill the Carrack. It will kill the hammerhead if you fire multiple torps at them, but it will not kill the 890 jump. So it literally kills everything in the game except for the 890 jump. You can see it's all military. Aegis is really good about military. You've got a very basic bed structure for your captain's quarters or whatnot. And then almost every hull that you run into on this ship, you see these circles all over the place. Those are turrets. There are 5 turrets on this thing. So literally every function in this ship is all about fighting. It's really stripped down. So let's go ahead and get out of atmosphere, or get out of the hangar, so you guys get to see the beautifulness of this ship. And remember, we wait for the reticle to pop up, and then we hit R for readying up. This is also another VTOL driven ship. So I need to pay attention when I get out of the hangar if I'm doing this right. So we're just going to strafe directly straight up and get out of the no-fly zones. And then again, pull up landing gear. We're going to pull up VTOLs so it flies better. And then we'll look at the outside of the ship. The VTOLs are up, and just tell me, man, that thing is so reminiscent of the SR-71 Blackbird. It's such a beautiful ship. It's always been a favorite of mine. I know we're in the dark, but I'll try to get some different angles. You can see the big torp bays are open, ready to fire, ready to just destroy everything. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous ship. And let's see how far we've traveled at this point. We are to about 3,000 meters up, and I'm not going to continue. We're about wrapped up in this video. So just the last little tidbit thing to show off this ship, we're going to hop out of the seat and show the one other compartment that doesn't end up in a torpedo or the captain's quarters. You can go, well, it does end up in a torpedo, but it also has crew quarters. And I'm looking a little glitched. There we go. We got through there. We fought through the glitch. Okay, we're going to go up here, and guess what? There's another turret. It's just crazy amounts of turrets in the ship. But then you go back here, here's a weapons rack, military, military, military. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 beds on this ship, plus the 7th for the captain. And you got it's all just like beds are guns. That's this entire ship. And the beds take a definite backseat to that. All right, so there we go. That is the, we'll go into the turret real quick so you guys can see that, and then we'll wrap up this video. So going into the turret, you can kind of see how those function and why they're so cool. So this is not only a bomber, but it's also a gunship with 5 turrets. The pilot can only fire the missiles. They can't fire any of the guns, so you need a crew to go with you. And there you go. I've got turret. I can start gunning people down. You can see the guns move around as I go into the light. That's what you're actually going to be firing. Boom, boom, boom. You get all that boom, boom. And we're going to back out and look at that ship one more time and wrap this up. So that's basically how you get out of Port Olisar, how you get out of Area 18, a couple recaps on doing quantum drive, a couple recaps on requesting landing, locating Area 18, and we'll call that part 1 of finding where the heck am I. and we're going to title that Where the Heck Am I Part 1 or 2. And the next series will rapidly go from, we'll start in Hurston, and then we'll jump to Microtech, which Hurston is Lorville. We'll start in Lorville on Hurston. We'll fly to New Babbage, which is on Microtech. We'll do the same thing. We'll respawn there, get out to your ship. We'll respawn from Hurston, get out to your ship, and then we'll fly up to one of the satellite stations or that are representative, ideally, of how you navigate all the space stations, and I'll talk through some of that. So stay tuned. If you've got any questions, if it didn't make sense, if I didn't do anything clearly or speak clearly, let me know in the comments below, and I'll check it out and try to help you guys out as best I can. So for now, this is Dragon X signing out. I hope you guys have a fantastic day and fly safe.